For centuries, farmers faced soil problems that could not wait for slow fixes. When crops failed due to soil that was too acidic or too alkaline, they needed solutions that worked within a single season, sometimes within days. Long before laboratory soil tests and commercial amendments, one method stood out for its speed and reliability. It involved nothing more than natural clay, water, and an understanding of how earth materials interact underground. This technique appears across ancient agricultural records because it delivered immediate visible results. What follows is not a modern shortcut dressed up as history. It is a proven method that serious growers once relied on when soil balance meant survival. Why soil pH mattered deeply to ancient farmers. You know, ancient farmers did not speak in terms of pH numbers, but they understood soil behavior with remarkable precision. They knew which ground burned roots, which soil locked nutrients away, and which fields produced weak, yellow crops, no matter how much effort was applied. These were symptoms of imbalance, often extreme acidity from leached soils or alkalinity from mineral-heavy ground. Instead of chasing symptoms, they treated the soil itself. The clay-water mixture emerged as a corrective tool because it interacted chemically and physically with the soil, not just nutritionally. So, what kind of clay was used? And, why did it actually work? Not all clay behaves the same after all. Ancient records and, soil archaeology both point toward fine, plate-structured clays like bentonite, montmorillonite, and certain river clays. These clays, interestingly enough, carry a natural electrical charge that allows them to bind with excess ions in soil. In acidic soils, the clay absorbed surplus hydrogen and aluminum ions, which are honestly responsible for root damage and nutrient lockout. In alkaline soils, it moderated excess calcium and sodium by improving cation exchange and restoring balance. Now, this is why results appeared so quickly. The reaction took place right at the soil interface, not over the years of decomposition, as one might expect. Let's explore how water transformed clay into a corrective tool. You see, dry clay alone doesn't quite solve pH problems. It's the water that activates it, making all the difference. When mixed into a slurry, clay particles separate, exposing their full surface area. This allows them to interact immediately with soil chemistry once applied. Quite remarkable, isn't it? So, ancient farmers, they mixed clay and water together until it reached, the consistency of thin cream. This mixture was then applied directly to the affected soil. Sometimes it was poured into furrows, and at other times spread across beds before planting. The goal here was really even contact with the soil, not deep burial. Now, here's how this method delivered such fast and honestly quite visible changes. Once the slurry entered the soil, it moved into the pore spaces where chemical reactions occurred rather rapidly. Roots experienced relief almost immediately. Nutrients that were previously unavailable, they became accessible. Soil texture improved, allowing air and moisture to move more freely. Historical accounts describe crops recovering colour and vigour within weeks. This was not coincidence. You know, balanced pH unlocks phosphorus, potassium and micronutrients that plants rely on for growth. So, let's talk about how ancient farmers applied the clay-water mixture step by step. First, fields were lightly cultivated to break surface crusts without disturbing deeper layers. The clay slurry was prepared nearby, often using local water sources to match mineral profiles. And, well, application was done during calm weather to ensure even distribution. After spreading, soil was allowed to rest briefly. Planting followed soon after, sometimes the same day. In some regions, straw or organic matter was added afterward to stabilize moisture and protect the corrected soil layer. Why this method worked better than ash or lime in many cases. Ash and lime were also used historically, but they carried risks. Over-application could swing soil too far in the opposite direction. Clay worked differently. It moderated rather than forced change. Its buffering capacity prevented extreme shifts while restoring functional balance. This made it especially valuable in regions where soil conditions varied sharply within short distances. How modern growers can use this knowledge responsibly. Today, this method can be adapted with care. Natural bentonite or locally sourced clay can be mixed with water and applied to problem areas rather than entire fields. Small test plots are essential. It's important to observe plant response before expanding use. The mixture should be thin enough to penetrate soil, but not so diluted that it becomes ineffective. Application is most effective when soil is moist but not saturated, allowing clay to move into active root zones. So, why does this technique support long-term soil health? Well, beyond just correcting the pH, clay actually improves the structure of the soil, helps with water retention, and even boosts microbial stability over time. Ancient farmers really valued this approach because, you know, it tackled several issues all at once. And interestingly enough, modern soil science now confirms this sort of layered benefit. Repeated use was, honestly, quite rare. Once the balance was restored, normal farming practices were usually enough to maintain it. This is why the method was respected, not abused. So, why did this ancient knowledge disappear, you might ask? Well, industrial agriculture favoured standardised inputs that could be sold and measured easily. Clay slurry just didn't fit this model, you know. It required observation, local materials, and honestly, a fair bit of skill. As a result, it sort of faded from common use, despite its effectiveness. Now, as soil degradation and chemical dependence are, unfortunately, on the rise, revisiting such techniques is not about nostalgia. It's a necessity. If this guide helped you understand how ancient farmers solve soil pH problems with precision and speed, Do consider supporting Hydrohaven by subscribing, sharing this episode, and helping to preserve agricultural knowledge that still holds real power today.